Jack was just a normal young man. He worked in a small garage, fixing machines. He had no family, no big dreams, and no reason to expect anything special. But everything changed one rainy night. Jack was walking home through the empty streets. The rain was cold and the wind was loud. Suddenly, he saw an old man standing under a broken streetlight. The man looked sick, his clothes were wet, and his eyes were glowing blue. The old man took one shaky step toward Jack. He held something in his hand, a small cube, glowing like fire trapped in glass. Before Jack could speak, the man fell to his knees. "I found you. You are the one," the man whispered. Then he pushed the cube into Jack's hands. Jack froze. "What is this? Who are you?" he asked. But the man just smiled weakly. "My time is over. Yours begins now." Then he fell to the ground and stopped breathing. Jack looked around. The street was empty again. No one had seen what happened. He didn't know what to do. He took the cube and ran home. In his small apartment, Jack placed the cube on the table. It glowed softly, like it was waiting. He tried to sleep, but the cube pulsed with light. Red, then green, then blue. Finally, Jack touched it. The moment his finger touched the surface, a voice spoke from nowhere. "Welcome, heir of the last flame." Jack jumped back, his heart racing. "What the hell?" he whispered. The cube floated into the air. Then, the room shook. Outside, the night sky turned bright. A giant alien ship appeared above the city. People screamed, lights flickered, and power died across the neighborhood. But the ship came down slowly, carefully, until it hovered just above Jack's building. The cube opened in the air, showing a hologram. It was the old man, alive in the recording. His voice was calm, but powerful. "If you see this, then I am dead, and you now carry my name. I leave you all that. I am, my ship, my weapons, my power. And," he paused, "my wife." Jack blinked in confusion. "What? Your wife?" The hologram smiled. "She is waiting inside, bound by law to follow the one I choose. She will guide you, protect you, and stand with you." Before Jack could say anything more, a beam of light pulled him up into the sky. He screamed, but it was too late. The cube followed him into the ship. Inside, the air was clean and sweet. Alien lights danced across the walls, and then he saw her, standing in the middle of the ship. She was tall, glowing, with silver hair and golden skin. Her eyes were bright, calm, and not human. "I am Arilyn," she said softly. "I belong to you now." Jack stared, heart beating fast. This was not a normal night. This was not a dream. This was the beginning of something big. Behind Arilyn, the ship closed its doors. The cube returned to Jack's hand, and the voice spoke again. "Now run, heir. They are coming for you." Jack stood frozen. He stared at the strange woman in front of him. Her beauty was not human. Her skin glowed softly, like moonlight on water. Her silver hair floated gently as if touched by a breeze that wasn't there. "I am Arilyn," she said again. Her voice was calm but powerful. "I belong to you now." Jack didn't know what to say. He didn't ask for this. He didn't want a ship, power, or a wife from another world. He just wanted answers. "Wait," he said, stepping back. "You're his wife?" Arilyn nodded. "Yes, by the ancient law of my people. When a bonded partner dies, their chosen heir becomes the new life companion." Jack shook his head. "I'm just a guy from Earth," he said. "This has to be a mistake." But the cube floated beside him and glowed again. It projected another message from the dead alien. "Do not run from what you are now," the voice said. "Arilyn will help you, but time is short. Others will come for the cube." Suddenly, alarms echoed through the ship. Red lights flashed, and the floor shook. Arilyn turned her head sharply. "They found us," she whispered. "They are here." Jack ran to the window. 3 smaller alien ships were speeding toward them. They were black, fast, and dangerous. Lasers charged at their front. "They're going to attack," he shouted. Arilyn grabbed his arm. "We must escape," she said. She touched the wall, and it turned into a glowing control panel. Jack followed her to the center of the ship. Seats rose from the floor. The ship began to move. "Who are they?" Jack asked, holding onto his seat as the ship jumped into the sky. "They are the scavengers," Arilyn said. They want the cube, the power, and the empire. They do not want a human to sit on the throne. Lasers fired, shaking the ship. Sparks flew, alarms screamed. Erilyn moved her hands quickly over the controls. She was fast, focused, and clearly trained. "You're really good at this," Jack said, amazed. She didn't smile. "I was built for this," she replied. Jack stared at her. "What do you mean, built?" Before she could answer, the ship flipped through a wormhole. The stars stretched, the world bent, and everything went silent. In 1 second, they were no longer near Earth. The ship stopped inside a hidden asteroid field. It was quiet again, safe for now. Erilyn turned to Jack. "We must talk," she said. "There are many things you do not understand yet." Jack stood up slowly. "Start with the truth," he said. "Who was that man? Why did he choose me? And what are you really?" Erilyn walked to the center of the room. She placed her hand on the cube. It opened again, glowing with light. A hologram appeared, a map of the stars. In the center was a symbol, a burning crown. "The man who died was the last emperor of the Solarian Empire," she said. "He ruled over 1,000 worlds. He chose you as the next heir." Jack laughed nervously. "I'm just a mechanic," he said. Erilyn stepped closer, her golden eyes serious. "Not anymore," she said. "You are now the most wanted man in the galaxy." The ship floated quietly inside the asteroid field. The stars outside looked peaceful, but danger was close. Jack sat on a metal bench, still trying to understand everything. In less than 1 day, his whole life had changed. He was no longer just Jack. Now he was the heir of a galactic empire, and sitting across from him was an alien wife he didn't ask for. Erilyn stood near the cube, her hands glowing softly. The cube opened like a flower and floated in the air. Inside it, lights moved like rivers. Then, a voice filled the room again. "Accessing legacy memory," the voice said. A hologram appeared. It showed a tall alien in golden armor. It was the same man who died on Earth. His voice was calm, slow, and full of secrets. "My name was Vorex, Emperor of Solarian. For thousands of years, my people ruled the stars. But war came, and now I am the last. I chose a human to carry what remains, because humans have what we lost. Heart." Jack leaned forward, watching every word. The hologram showed images of war. Planets burning, cities falling from the sky. One enemy flag appeared again and again, a red eye surrounded by fire. "That's them," Erilyn said. "The Zorak Syndicate. They destroyed the Empire piece by piece. They now hunt anyone who carries the cube." Jack stood slowly. "Why me?" he asked. "I'm not a soldier or a leader," the cube answered. "Because you're unknown, unpredictable, and human. The old bloodlines were easy to kill, but you are different." Jack felt cold. The weight of the cube in his hand now felt heavier. "What happens if they get this?" he asked. Erilyn stepped closer. "They'll awaken the ancient weapons and burn what's left of the galaxy." Suddenly, the cube glowed red. An alarm beeped inside it. "Warning," it said. "Tracking signal detected." "They found us," Erilyn whispered. Jack looked at her. "How do they keep finding us?" Erilyn paused for a moment too long. "There may be a tracer inside the cube," she said carefully. Jack's eyes narrowed. "Did you know?" "I suspected," she said, "but I needed to be sure." Jack backed away. "So this thing is leading them right to us?" Erilyn nodded. "But it is also the only thing keeping you alive." The ship shook, a soft vibration in the floor. Erilyn ran to the controls. "They're not here yet," she said, "but they're close." The cube changed color again. From red to white, a new panel appeared in the air. "Do you wish to see the hidden files?" it asked. Jack looked at Erilyn, then said, "Yes." Images flashed. Blueprints of giant ships, names of lost planets. Then, something else, a file locked behind a strange symbol. A broken crown. "Only the heir's blood can open this," the voice said. A small needle popped out of the cube. Jack hesitated, then pressed his finger against it. A drop of blood fell into the light. The hologram changed again. It now showed a secret place. A planet made of crystal and fire. The words read, "Legacy Vault. Last Hope." "That's where we need to go," Erilyn said. "Everything we need to fight them is hidden there." Jack looked out at the stars. He still didn't feel like a hero, but now he knew. If he didn't act, no one else could. The small moon was quiet, but above it, death waited. Enemy ships still searched the skies, hunting for Jack and the cube. Inside a hidden cave, Jack sat beside a small fire. Ara Lynn was resting nearby, her shoulder healing slowly. Her blood was silver, glowing in the dark. Jack stared at her, confused and amazed. She wasn't human, but she felt real. She risked her life for him, more than once. "Why do you care what happens to me?" he asked. Ara Lynn opened her eyes. "I was built to protect the heir," she said. "But now, I protect you because I want to." Jack didn't know what to say. No one had ever chosen to protect him before, not because of duty, but because they cared. They stayed hidden until the enemy ships left. Then they fixed the ship and jumped into hyperspace. Their next stop was an old space station called Neuraxis. It was a dirty, forgotten place where smugglers and traders lived. Ara Lynn said they needed parts to repair the cube's damaged systems. As they walked through the dark halls of the station, eyes followed them, alien eyes, human eyes, all filled with greed or fear. Jack kept his hood low, cube hidden inside his coat. They met a trader named Rulo, an alien with 4 arms and a wide grin. "I hear you're looking for a signal shield," Rulo said. "I got one, but it's expensive." Jack showed him a small gem from the ship's storage. Rulo's eyes lit up. "Deal," he said quickly. He handed them the device and smiled too much. Ara Lynn didn't trust him. She whispered to Jack, "We should leave now." But it was already too late. As they walked back to their ship, alarms sounded across the station. Metal doors slammed shut. Rulo's voice echoed through the speakers. "Sorry, friends," he said, "but there's a price on your head, and I like credits more than friendship." Armed guards surrounded them. Jack looked at Ara Lynn. "Can we fight our way out?" "Not without damage," she said, "but I will protect you." Jack looked at the cube in his coat. It was pulsing, ready. He reached into his pocket and pressed a hidden button. The cube activated a pulse wave, blasting the guards with light. They ran through the smoke, lasers flying past their heads. Jack dove into the ship, Ara Lynn close behind. The engines roared to life. As the ship lifted off, a missile hit the side. Sparks flew, but they escaped just in time. Inside the ship, Ara Lynn sat quietly, her hand on a broken panel. Jack sat across from her, angry. "We trusted him," Jack said. "I told you we shouldn't," Ara Lynn replied, her voice calm. Jack nodded slowly. "You were right." The cube floated between them. A new message appeared. This one from the Emperor again. "If you are seeing this, it means betrayal has found you." "Good," the voice said. "Now you understand the galaxy." The hologram ended, but Jack kept staring. He was starting to see how dark and dangerous this world truly was. "We can't trust anyone," he said. Ara Lynn looked at him. "Except each other." Jack reached into his coat and pulled out the cube. "Let's finish this," he said. "We find the vault and we end this war." The small moon was quiet, but above it, death waited. Enemy ships still searched the skies, hunting for Jack and the cube. Inside a hidden cave, Jack sat beside a small fire. Ara Lynn was resting nearby, her shoulder healing slowly. Her blood was silver, glowing in the dark. Jack stared at her, confused and amazed. She wasn't human, but she felt real. She risked her life for him, more than once. "Why do you care what happens to me?" he asked. Ara Lynn opened her eyes. "I was built to protect the heir," she said. "But now, I protect you because I want to." Jack didn't know what to say. No one had ever chosen to protect him before, not because of duty, but because they cared. They stayed hidden until the enemy ships left. Then they fixed the ship and jumped into hyperspace. Their next stop was an old space station called Neuraxis. It was a dirty, forgotten place where smugglers and traders lived. Ara Lynn said they needed parts to repair the cube's damaged systems. As they walked through the dark halls of the station, eyes followed them, alien eyes, human eyes, all filled with greed or fear. Jack kept his hood low, cube hidden inside his coat. They met a trader named Rulo, an alien with 4 arms and a wide grin. "I hear you're looking for a signal shield," Rulo said. "I got one, but it's expensive." Jack showed him a small gem from the ship's storage. Rulo's eyes lit up. "Deal," he said quickly. He handed them the device and smiled too much. Ara Lynn didn't trust him. She whispered to Jack, "We should leave now." But it was already too late. As they walked back to their ship, alarms sounded across the station. Metal doors slammed shut. Rouleau's voice echoed through the speakers. "Sorry, friends," he said, "but there's a price on your head, and I like credits more than friendship." Armed guards surrounded them. Jack looked at Aurelin. "Can we fight our way out?" "Not without damage," she said, "but I will protect you." Jack looked at the cube in his coat. It was pulsing, ready. He reached into his pocket and pressed a hidden button. The cube activated a pulse wave, blasting the guards with light. They ran through the smoke, lasers flying past their heads. Jack dove into the ship, Aurelin close behind. The engines roared to life. As the ship lifted off, a missile hit the side. Sparks flew, but they escaped just in time. Inside the ship, Aurelin sat quietly, her hand on a broken panel. Jack sat across from her, angry. "We trusted him," Jack said. "I told you we shouldn't," Aurelin replied, her voice calm. Jack nodded slowly. "You were right." The cube floated between them. A new message appeared. This one from the Emperor again. "If you are seeing this, it means betrayal has found you." "Good," the voice said. "Now you understand the galaxy." The hologram ended, but Jack kept staring. He was starting to see how dark and dangerous this world truly was. "We can't trust anyone," he said. Aurelin looked at him. "Except each other." Jack reached into his coat and pulled out the cube. "Let's finish this," he said. "We find the vault and we end this war." The ship floated through the cold black of space. No alarms, no chases, no enemies. Just silence. But inside the ship, something was not right. Jack sat alone in the control room, staring at the stars. The cube floated quietly beside him. He was no longer afraid of it. But now, he feared something else. Aurelin. For days they had fought side by side. She saved him, guided him, and never left his side. But Jack kept thinking about something she said. "I was built to protect the heir, not born, built." He remembered her movements, too perfect, too fast, her knowledge, too deep, like a machine, and her eyes, they were beautiful, but sometimes they didn't blink. She walked into the room, quiet as always. Her silver hair flowed like light, her golden skin glowing softly. "Jack," she said, "we need to talk." Jack stood up, facing her. "Good," he said, "because I have questions." She nodded. "I know," she said, "and I will tell you everything." They sat across from each other, the cube dim between them. Jack spoke first. "Are you human in any way?" Aurelin looked down. "No," she said. "I was created in the royal labs of Solarian. I am a living construct, part machine, part alien biology." Jack's heart sank. "So you were programmed to protect me?" "Yes," she said, "but I changed. Over time I learned, I grew, I felt. I was designed to serve, but I began to care." Jack looked away. "Then how do I know your feelings are real?" Aurelin paused for a long moment, then she touched the side of her head. A small light glowed under her skin. "I can shut off my command system," she said. "If I do this, I will no longer follow orders. I will no longer be bound to protect you." Jack stared at her. "Why would you do that?" "To prove," she whispered, "that what I feel is not part of my programming." She pressed the spot. The light blinked once, then faded. She sat quietly, her body still. Jack waited. If she had lied, she would shut down. But she didn't. She looked up at him, eyes filled with emotion. "I am still here," she said, "because I want to be." Jack felt a lump in his throat. In this galaxy of lies, power, and betrayal, this was something real. The cube suddenly activated, as if sensing the moment. A soft voice spoke. Emotional bond confirmed. Access granted to forbidden memory. A new hologram appeared, not of the Emperor, but of Aurelin. It showed her creation, her training, her loneliness. She had spent years alone in a lab, learning what it meant to be alive. The Emperor's voice echoed in the background. "She is my greatest creation," he said. "But if she ever chooses to love, let her be free." The hologram faded. Jack stood up, walked to Aurelin. He held out his hand. "No more secrets," he said. "No more orders." She took his hand. "I am with you," she said. "By choice, not by code." Outside the ship, the stars kept moving. But inside, something stronger than war or power had been born: trust. A new star appeared on the map. It was deep in uncharted space, hidden behind a collapsing nebula. The cube called it Solarii 9, the last home of the ancient empire. Jack sat in the pilot's seat as the ship flew toward it. Ari Lynn stood beside him, eyes focused on the glowing map. "This planet is not on any known star chart," she said. "That's because it erased itself after the fall," the cube answered. "It was designed to vanish, to protect the Emperor's final legacy." As they neared the planet, strange signals surrounded them. Whispers echoed in the ship's speakers. Though no one was speaking, Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "Are we being watched?" he asked. "Not watched," Ari Lynn said softly. "Remembered." They broke through the storm clouds. Below them, the planet glowed. A mix of crystal mountains and rivers of red fire. Tall towers reached to the sky, cracked and broken. The city looked dead but not empty. They landed near the ruins of a temple. The cube floated ahead of them, glowing brighter with each step. "The vault is here," it said, "but it will only open if the heir passes the test." "What test?" Jack asked. "Not of strength," the cube said, "but of trust." Inside the temple, stone walls shimmered with old energy. Symbols glowed on the floor, the same as on the cube. A large door blocked their path. It had no lock, no handle, no code. Suddenly, the cube spoke. "To open the vault, the heir must walk forward alone." Jack turned to Ari Lynn. "I don't like this," he said. "Neither do I," she replied, "but I will wait, no matter what happens." Jack nodded and stepped forward. As he passed the doorway, it sealed shut behind him. Inside, the air felt different, heavy, warm, ancient. He walked down a long hall covered in glowing lights. Images appeared on the walls, memories from his life, moments of pain, loneliness, small victories, and hit him in fears. Then he saw something else. Images of himself, but not the man he was. These were versions of what he could become. A ruler, a tyrant, a hero, a destroyer. A voice echoed inside his mind. "You carry great power," it said, "but only your choices will decide who you become." A final image appeared. Ari Lynn. She stood before him, her eyes filled with sadness. The voice asked, "Would you give up the power to keep her free?" Jack didn't speak. He didn't need to. He placed the cube on a pedestal in the center of the room. "I choose her," he said. "Not the Empire, not the weapons, just her." The room glowed bright. The door behind him opened. Ari Lynn ran inside. "You passed," she whispered. The cube floated back into Jack's hand, now changed. It was no longer just a key. It was awake. "You are the true heir," it said. "The vault is now open." A second doorway rose from the ground. Inside it was a hidden chamber. Giant machines slept inside, weapons older than any race in the galaxy. But deeper still was something more. A massive ship, bigger than a city. "The Ark," Ari Lynn whispered. "The final weapon of the Empire." Jack looked up at it, and deep inside he knew. War was coming, and he was no longer running from it. He was going to end it. The Ark was sleeping, but Jack could feel it breathing. A giant ship, buried deep inside the planet, waiting for a command. Ari Lynn stood beside him as the vault lights lit up the chamber. She looked small next to the Ark's curved metal walls and glowing engine core. "This ship was never finished," she said, "but it is powerful enough to destroy a fleet." The cube floated from Jack's hand and entered a control slot. Lights came on across the walls, and the ground began to rumble. "Power restoring," the ship's voice echoed, awaiting Emperor's command. Jack stepped forward, heart pounding. "I'm no emperor," he whispered, but the Ark didn't care. It only knew the cube, and the blood that unlocked it. The ground shook harder. Above the surface, towers rose from the soil. Engines came to life, breaking through stone and dust. The Ark was rising. But far across space, Zorak Syndicate ships detected the signal. High Lord Zarn slammed his fist on a table. "He found the vault," he growled. "Send the fleet, burn the planet, kill the heir." Thousands of warships jumped into hyperspace. The final hunt had begun. Back on Solarii 9, the Ark lifted from the planet's surface. Jack sat in the command chair, eyes wide. Ari Lynn sat beside him, ready. They were no longer hiding. The cube glowed bright red. Incoming fleet, it warned. Zorak ships, 2,190. Jack swallowed hard. We're outnumbered, he said. Yes, Erilyn replied, but we are not outmatched. He gripped the controls. Then let's show them what we've got. The Ark flew into orbit just as the enemy fleet arrived. The sky turned red with weapon fire. Explosions lit the stars. The final battle had begun. Jack dodged the first wave of missiles. Erilyn controlled the weapons, firing blasts of pure energy. The Ark was fast, faster than anything its size should be. Enemy ships tried to surround them. Jack spun too. He arced through a burning cloud of wreckage. Lasers fired, shields held. One by one, enemy ships began to fall, but they kept coming. A large Zorak dreadnought moved in, 10 times bigger than the rest. High Lord Zarn was on board, watching the fight. Crush him, he commanded. The dreadnought fired a massive beam. It hit the Ark's left wing, shaking the entire ship. Sparks flew, systems flickered. Erilyn screamed. A blast hit her side, knocking her to the floor. Jack rushed to her. Her skin was cracked, glowing silver blood leaking out. I'm okay, she whispered. No, you're not, Jack said, holding her hand. The cube pulsed again. Critical damage. Activate core weapon? Jack looked at Erilyn. What happens if we use it? She whispered. It might destroy the whole fleet, or the whole system. Jack stood, face hard. Do it, he said. The cube entered the core. The Ark began to glow. The entire ship lit up like a star. The enemy fleet turned to flee, but it was too late. A wave of light blasted out in all directions. It passed through ships like a storm of fire and silence. Within seconds, the dreadnought and all Zorak ships were gone. Only the Ark remained, floating quietly in space. Inside, Jack dropped to his knees beside Erilyn. She was fading. You did it, she said, voice weak. You won. Jack held her close. I didn't win if I lose you. Her eyes began to close, her voice almost gone. Then, make a choice, she whispered. Save me, or keep the cube. The Ark floated in silence. No more weapons fired, no more enemies in sight. The stars were calm again. But inside the ship, everything was breaking. Jack knelt beside Erilyn. Her skin was cracked, her glow fading, her breathing slowed, her golden eyes dull. The cube hovered in front of him, pulsing with a deep blue light. It spoke softly. Vital systems failing. Erilyn has less than 1 minute of core function. No, Jack said, voice shaking. There has to be something you can do. The cube hesitated. There is one final protocol, it said, but it will require a choice. Jack looked at Erilyn. Her hand was cold, but he held it tight. What choice? He asked. The cube explained. I can rebuild her, fully alive, fully free. She will no longer be a guardian or a construct. She will become something new, truly living. Jack nodded quickly. Do it, he said, but the cube's light dimmed. There is a cost, it said. My power is nearly gone. If I give everything to her, the legacy will end. You will lose the cube, the weapons, the Ark. Jack stared at the glowing cube. The key to an empire, the power of 1,000 worlds rested in his hand. With it, he could lead, protect Earth, rule the stars. Without it, he would just be Jack again. He looked at Erilyn. She had fought for him, bled for him, and stood by him when no one else did. She didn't ask for this life, but she had lived it with honor. He touched the cube gently. Can she live and choose for herself? Yes, the cube said. She will no longer be bound by programming or laws. She will be free. Jack closed his eyes, then gave his answer. I don't want a weapon, he said. I want her. The cube pulsed once, deep and bright. Confirmed, it said. Final legacy transfer beginning. The cube floated above Erilyn's body. It opened like a flower of light. Energy flowed into her, wrapping her in a soft cocoon of gold and silver. Her broken skin healed. Her light returned. Her chest rose as she took her first breath. Not as a construct, but as a true living being. Jack watched with wide eyes, tears running down his face. The cube cracked in the air, breaking slowly. Its voice echoed one last time. You chose well, heir of the heart. Then the cube shattered into light and was gone. The Ark dimmed, its engines going silent, all systems powered down. Jack was alone with her. No ship, no army, no power, but he didn't care. Erilyn opened her eyes. They were brighter than before, full of life. She gasped and looked around. "Jack?" she said, confused. He pulled her into his arms. "You're alive," he whispered. She touched his face. I feel everything," she said. "I'm real?" Jack nodded, smiling through tears. "You're real," he said, "and you're free." They sat in silence, holding each other. The stars outside kept moving. No empire, no weapons, no cube. Just a boy from Earth, and the woman who chose to stay with him. The stars stretched on forever, silent, cold, endless, but on the surface of a quiet moon, two figures stood together. Jack and Erilyn watched as the broken ark slowly sank into the Red Sea. Its lights faded, its engines silent. The last weapon of the Solarian Empire was gone. Jack had no crown, no army, no cube, but he had her, and she was more than enough. Erilyn looked up at him, her eyes full of emotion. "You gave everything," she said. Jack smiled. "So did you." They left the moon on a small shuttle that had survived the battle. It was slow and weak, but it carried them far. Soon, stories began to spread, rumors across space, of a human who defeated the Zorak fleet, a man who chose love over power, a man who ended a war without becoming a tyrant. Alien worlds began to ask questions. Who was this heir of the heart? Why did the ark fall silent? What happened to the cube? But the truth was never told in full, only whispers, only legends. Jack and Erilyn traveled from world to world. They didn't rule, they helped. On one planet, they stopped a civil war using only words. On another, they taught a small colony how to grow food again. Sometimes they fought, sometimes they just listened. Everywhere they went, people followed, not because of fear, but because of hope. They built something new, not an empire, but an alliance, aliens and humans working together. No thrones, no crowns, only choices. Erilyn walked beside Jack through it all. No longer a guardian, no longer a weapon, just a woman, living, loving, and free. One day they were invited to a great council, the Galactic Circle. Leaders from across the stars were present, old, proud species, warriors, scientists, and dreamers. They asked Jack to speak, to lead, to guide. Jack stood before them, simple clothes, no symbols of power. He looked around the room and spoke calmly. "I'm not from your worlds," he said. "I'm not a king or a soldier or a god. I was just a man who made a choice." He looked at Erilyn standing in the crowd. "I chose to save someone instead of saving an empire. And maybe that was the better path." The room was silent. Then one by one the leaders stood, not to fight, not to challenge, but to follow. Later, as the stars turned outside the window, Erilyn held Jack's hand. "They're calling you something now," she said, smiling. "What?" he asked. "The human emperor," she replied. Jack laughed. "I don't want a title," he said. "I just want peace." "And maybe," she said softly, "that's why you deserve it." They stood side by side, no war behind them, no throne ahead, just stars, and the endless journey still waiting to begin.